Good morning, guys. Welcome to this presentation. We're going to talk today about one of the worst things that we do for most of the day for our body that we don't realize that we're doing, and that's setting. So, my name is Pete Howard. I'm director of a startup company called Posture Up, all about corporate well-being. I want to start this presentation with just a check-in with you guys. So we're just going to try and interact a little bit. Just obviously, most people are going to be seated at the moment. So in your chair, how is your posture right now? Are you core tight, chest back, chest up, shoulder blades back in neutral alignment, or are you sat hunched over watching your screen at the moment? Another thing is, how are we breathing? So by that, I just want to do a simple test with you guys. As you're sat, put one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly and take a deep breath in. Now, as we breathe in, which hand is moving? It should be the bottom hand. So as we take in a deep breath, our diaphragm pushes out and the belly should expand. This is called diaphragmatic breathing, which is the way that we are born to breathe. We are born perfect in terms of the way that we breathe and that we move. And we unlearn this through the environments we encounter through life. And it happens slowly over time. And this really affects the way that we feel and think. So just a quick intro to startup of Posture Up. I'm a local strength and conditioning coach and personal trainer. I studied at University of Bath in sports performance, applied sport and exercise studies. I've played rugby at international colleges level. I've had a contract pro wrestling out in the States. And I'm currently a competitive boxer, but I have a huge passion for well-being, and I've learned so much through my experiences that stretching is one of the most underrated aspects of health, fitness, and well-being. I've had to correct my own posture over time, and I have empowered hundreds of people over the last 10 years to move better, feel better, and be more confident in their bodies. So Fayaza, the other director, I've been doing boxing coaching with her pad work, and she came to me with an issue with RSI, which she'd had for nearly 2 decades, to the point where when she was typing for her coursework for university, she had to get someone to type for her. She came to me and couldn't train that day. She said, look, I've got really bad RSI in my wrist. And one of my things is, like, I say to all of my clients, if it's tight, stretch it. So I gave her a simple stretch to do for RSI, just using a wall, and got her to hold it for a minute or two and repeat a couple of times, and she had instant relief. She carried this on over a few days, and she had total relief from 2 decades of what I deem as unnecessary pain. And the pattern is within the, especially people that kind of live sedentary lives, aches and pains come up due to imbalances in their posture and the way that they're trapping their bodies in certain positions day in, day out. And it's just perceived as, oh, well, I'm in pain, I'm just going to live with it. But there is actually a proactive solution to this pain. And it's going to enable us to look better, feel better, work better, and just all round improve our well-being. So why is sitting so bad for us? Well, if you look at where this kind of postural epidemic has come out, it's predominantly in the Western world, because if you go to Thailand or places in Africa, people sit still, not using chairs. This is the culprit. Now, if you think about it, in the Western world, from the age of 4, we go to school. We sit at a desk and do our work. Once we go through school, we may go to college from 4 to 16. From college, if we're lucky enough and aspire to, we go to university. And after that, most people will get up in the morning, drive to work in a seated position, sit down at work all day, drive home again, and then once they're home and they've made dinner, they sit on the sofa. So potentially it could be sort of 70% of our waking time, we're sat down, okay? And we don't realize what's happening over time is that it's causing imbalances through our body because of the way we're sat. When we sit, our hip flexors and the muscles through the front of the thighs get tight, our core disengages when we slouch, and everything we do on a daily basis is in front of us. So whether we're holding a phone, whether we're on a computer, whether we're driving, everything is in front of us, and it causes our shoulders to round forward and hunch. So there are different types of postural defects that can occur from sitting. I'm going to cover probably 3 of the main culprits of just a bit of information, what's going on. And first one is around the pelvis. Now, lower back pain, so 2/3 of adult people in the UK suffer from lower back pain at some point in their life, and it's a leading cause of sick days at work in the UK at the moment, lower back pain. Now, it's such an easy fix, but what's going wrong is, again, tightness through our hip flexors at the front of the hips from being sat down all day. This causes what's known as inhibition or lack of firing through the glutes, tightening the hips, being sat all day as well, and the core not functioning the way that it should. And what tends to happen through the tightness and weakness is that we get a tilting of our pelvis. Or some people may know this as an excessive curve through the lower back. The posh word for it is lordosis, okay? And again, with these postural defects, if you get diagnosed with it, it doesn't mean, oh, I've got this. Good news is you can fix this. And that's what this product is about. That's the main issue around the hips and the lower back. Now, shoulder and neck pain, again, huge culprit for people getting migraine headaches, having to take days off work with frozen shoulders, etc., impingements. Again, I've spoken about how everything is done in front of us when we're at work, and that tightening coming across the front half of the body, and a lack of activation because of the hunching and excessive stress through the upper back and neck that comes from the hunching. Another thing is mobile phones. Huge culprit for what's known as, it's actually the official name for text neck, which was a type of forward head posture. We've actually called it text neck because mobile phones they're just destroying our bodies, because what we're doing is pushing our head off of what's known as the plumb line, the neutral line, through the body in neutral posture, and we're looking down. So the further degree, the more flexion I bring my neck into, the more it weighs, the more stress it produces through my upper back and neck. So your head might weigh 10 or 12 pounds in neutral alignment, but at 60 degrees here, when we're on Instagram or whatever we're doing in day-to-day life, but most people can get me when I'm saying that, my head can weigh up to 60 pounds at 60 degrees, which is 50 pounds of excess stress through the upper back and neck. So the first thing is just to be aware of your ergonomic setup. Okay, so in the office, obviously, that can just be having a laptop at eye level, so we're not having to look down at screens. Okay, and just being aware that our back is tucked into the chair with our feet flat on the floor and our shoulders back. Yeah, just from that, we're going to be able to breathe properly and not cause as much unnecessary stress on our body. So types of bad posture, we've got our excessive pelvic tilt here, lordosis. Kyphosis is the hunching of the shoulders, typical. Like the extreme of that is seeing grandma walk down the street, which is what the name for that is dowager's hump. When you get the old, that doesn't happen overnight. You know, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes decades of poor posture to evolve into this hunch, but you see it frequently because it's the way that we live. And my point being, it's so slow, the deterioration of our posture, that sometimes we don't just check it. So be proactive. The third one, our text neck, our forward head posture. Okay, and all of this is fixable, and it's just an equation to recalibrating these areas within the body. Get the ergonomic setup right, yes, but lengthen, stretch, and strengthen certain areas around the hip and shoulder girdle. Okay, just by priming and doing some basic movements and Pilates style movements for the core and to fire up the bum, the glutes, and the mid upper back to help pull the shoulders back, because that we need to have a mind muscle connection between these areas just to be able to be aware of our posture. Awareness is the first key. Secondly, strengthen and then lengthen, which just basically means stretch. So with the way that we are here, I'm gonna just try and get interactive with you guys. I'm not gonna get people sitting on the floor, I know, but while we're in our chairs, we're just gonna try a couple of basic stretches to help us feel better. And hopefully the idea of this is just to implicate the theory that movement should be medicine. Rest is not best. Yeah, it's better to exercise than take pills for our pain. And this is, you know, from my own experience of where I work with people, when you go to the doctors and they say, okay, well, how have you done that? Oh, I did it playing football or something. Okay, that's probably how you've done it. Take this pill and rest. If you have an imbalance in your body, rest will definitely help reduce inflammation, and that's what causes the pain. So the pain may go away, but the imbalance is still there. So when you go back to football, chances are inflammation is going to go straight back up again. That's just an example that I heard earlier. But whatever you're doing in terms of exercise, whether you're going for a jog, whether you're out on the bike, like if inflammation comes up through an imbalance and some pain, we need to be proactive in the way that we fix it rather than just leave it alone. I think that's a huge barrier to participation and progress in people's well-being. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the neck first. So you can do this sat down. You know what? I'm going to sit down with you. All right, so we're going to be nice and tight, feet flat on the floor, back pushed back into the chair, shoulders back, chest up, tummy tight. Yeah. And we're going to stretch some muscles through the side of the neck. So anyone that suffers from tension headaches, or maybe you've got a phone here all day when you're on your laptop or whatever, like the environment will tell a story in our bodies. So anyone that struggles with tension in the neck, just give this a go. If you don't, give it a go because it might help you anyway. Okay. So we're going to try and create distance from ear to shoulder here. I want to keep my face facing forward. I'm literally just going to pull away here and try and create some length, again, between ear and shoulder. And you should feel a gentle stretch through the side of your neck. Okay? And we're just going to take a deep breath in from our tummies and breathe out and just try and soften our body to do that. We can do that about 5 times. Try and get used to breathing in through your stomach, diaphragmatic breathing, and breathe out. So duration is another key aspect to improving mobility when it comes to stretching science and how we apply it. If we're tight, number one, you're going to experience some kind of discomfort because if it's tight, it's going to hurt a little bit, and that's perfectly normal. Okay, we're going to swap sides. Next thing is associating the breath with being able to relax. When we breathe in, you should feel that stretch increase. When you breathe out, again, I said soften the body. So when we breathe out, we elicit part of the nervous system. It's called the parasympathetic nervous system. It's the kind of relax and recover end of the nervous system, the autonomic nervous system. Part of it's stop, which is this part. The other part is go, which ramps everything up. Breathing out elicits the part that calms everything down. So we can develop our stretching with our breathing. Okay, so we've done lateral, sideways, neck stretch. Next thing we're going to do is the highly scientific smell your armpit stretch. Okay, and you're going to feel this kind of between the shoulder blade and the base of the skull up through that line. So my head is facing forward. I'm going to tilt it to the side. And I'm going to, with my shoulders back, chest up, core tight, I'm going to pull down and smell my own armpit. Yeah, I'm just trying to keep my shoulder blades down and back. And again, I'm trying to create distance from ear to shoulder here. Okay. Breathe in. As you breathe out, just soften. And I'm not trying to yank my neck here, but I'm trying to gauge tension and feel it kind of dissipate every time I breathe out. That's what we're looking for on an internal basis. That's part of stretching. Yeah, we've got to feel things inside and internalize. Good. Cool. And then rinse and repeat the same thing on the other side. So come out of those stretches slowly to the other side. Come down to the armpit. Keep the shoulders back. Postured up. See what I did there? Yeah, and just breathe into that stretch. You should just be feeling it from the base of the skull down to the top of the shoulder blade through the traps where we get so much tension, the weight of the world, right? A lot of that can be alleviated just through stretching and breathing drills. And it doesn't take ages to do either. Okay, so come out of there, pull our shoulders back, just gently rock around the neck, and hopefully someone feels a little bit looser for that experience, right? Okay, cool. If anyone wants to stand up and they've got a wall space behind them, again, we've covered the neck. I'm just going to do one drill for the shoulders just to help with anti-posture. Yeah, so I've talked about already, everything we do is in front of us, whether you're on your laptop, whether you're on your phone, whether you're driving, your shoulders are pulled forward and they rotate inwards. So a lot of the exercises we need to do to correct that, obviously, is pulling the shoulders back and rotating out to help us come back to neutral alignment. We're doing the opposites of what we do on a daily basis to correct it. Yeah. So if you've got a wall space by chance, okay, well, just finish on this, a stretch for the forearms, biceps, all the way through the chest, just to give us a sense of neutral posture. Find a wall, wherever you are. With your hand, your middle finger should be at 9 o'clock when you face the wall. And then just simply turn your hips away. This can be a door frame or anything, yeah? Lift from your breastplate. Again, with the neck stretch, I'm creating distance from ear to shoulder. Here, it's hand to breastplate. And I'm just going to lift and turn away from here. And again, breathe to develop the stretch. 30 seconds to a minute, or perhaps 6 to 8 breaths. Okay. Fantastic. And obviously, do both sides, so you're not walking around in circles. And some of you may find as well that you're tighter on one side, completely natural, because very, very, very common just because of the daily habits. Generally, if we've got a more dominant arm, we may be tighter on that side. I've already mentioned the phone gimmick. Anyone guilty of typing like that all day, probably be tighter through that side of your neck. The environment plays a role in the way that we feel. So yeah, I hope given some empowerment today just about why sitting is bad for you, and some insight on how to fix it and how it affects your posture. On a corporate basis, so much tighter on the left. There you go. So you should stretch your left side, one side more than your right side, because when you stretch, you're looking to attain balance. If that makes sense, Joe. Yeah. Has anyone else got any questions while I'm here? Ours is putting me over. That feels much better already. I'm glad, Ben. Wicked. Yeah, if anyone's got any questions, I'm just going to hang around for 30 seconds. I can answer. Yeah, movement is medicine, guys. Chairs are stiffening up our bodies. They're giving us poor posture. They're making us look and feel less confident. Yeah, if someone's in front of you with good posture, they seem more assertive. Yeah, and they probably feel that way as well. You're more likely to listen to someone like this than sat here like this.